Hello, welcome to the Green Table. This is a forum where we talk about everything personal finance, and I am Mary Almond Allen, your host for this video. And today we're going to talk about 4 money decisions to make after you say I do. Now, if you missed the previous video, go back and watch that. I talked about different considerations that you should have prior to saying I do, and those are very important to bring you to this step. So now we have the wedding, we're married. I had my life, my financial life, you had your financial life. How are we going to pull that together? Let's go under the assumption that we want to provide the best environment to promote unity within the marriage as possible. Okay, so with that in mind, also go back and look at the first video in this series about the 8 principles of personal finance, money management, okay, because that's the foundation for everything, for all other videos to follow. So considering the principles, the first thing that you must do is decide how you're going to manage your money. How are you going to pull that together? If you're going to pull it together, it's very important. We have 3 primary ways that individuals decide to where they house their funding, their money. One is the his and hers. They decide to have separate accounts, period. The second is his, hers, and ours. And the third is ours. We pool everything together. So in the first scenario, that's pretty much you're kind of operating sort of like roommates. You have your account, he has his account, and then you both decide who's going to pay what bills, so on and so forth. That could create problems because there may be some inequality there, or someone may decide that they're paying more or not enough or what have you. And that can be the beginning of conflict. So the main thing we want to do in a marriage is to decrease the environment for conflicts, in being that money is in the top 3 reasons or issues that lead down the path of divorce. So we want to create an environment where we're decreasing the amount of conflict. And if we have disparity of who's paying what bills, who's paying more, who's not pulling their share, that does not promote unity. Now we do have the his, hers, and ours. This is where individuals, they keep their own accounts, but then they decide to have a joint account from which they pay bills, and pay all their other expenses, stay for vacation and what have you. Again, this can create problems because it's not creating an environment for transparency and accountability. So yeah, we may decide, okay, you contribute this much to the account, you contribute this much to the account, the joint account, and then we'll pay our bills from that account. But I still don't know what you're working with. You still don't know what I'm working with in my account. And why is that important? We're going to discuss that in step number 3. But it's important that individuals have total transparency and total accountability to one another. After all, you're a team. And if you're going to do things together as a team, why not carry that over to your finances? Okay. And then the third option, which I consider to be the better option or the best option, is having a joint account, because it does allow for transparency. It does allow for accountability, and it allows for you to reach your shared goals more timely and more efficiently. Now, I know, people want to maintain their independence, and I might want to get him or her a gift, and I don't want them to know how much I paid or what have you. But those small things can be overcome. For example, gift giving. You each give each other an allowance for gift giving in your budget, which we'll talk about the budgeting part a little bit later. But everything that you perceive to be an issue can be overcome. Now, you have to ask yourself, if you decide not to pool your money together, which makes for a more successful realization of your goals. But if you decide to not pool your money together, you have to ask yourself why. What is the real reason why you are hesitant in pooling your money together for the greater good? It could be fear. It could be insecurity. It could be that there's a trust issue going on that needs to be resolved. why wouldn't I want him or her to know, total what I'm working with, what I make, what's my income, which we talked about in the previous video, things to consider before you say I do. You're to ask one another, what's your income, because you need to have everything on the table and know what you're working with when you're setting your goals. So those are the 3 methods. So you have to decide what's best for your household within the parameters of total accountability and transparency, and which method is going to cause the least conflict between you two. Okay, I can't say that one is better. Well, I guess I can say one is better than the other. I prefer the total joint way with total transparency and accountability. However, there may be some exceptions to that as well. For example, if somebody has an addiction, whether it be, shopping, drugs, or whatever, anything that may cause them to access the account in secret to support these things, then and it's causing or wreaking havoc in the household, and we're not able to pay our bills because so-and-so is over here feeding whatever that addiction or that problem is, then that may be a case for separate accounts. So there's reasons, where you may not want to do one or the other, but in the generally speaking, the better way would be to have the joint account because it decreases the conflict. But do what's best for your family, your behaviors. So I'm just advising on the end, promoting total unity in the marriage. Now, also, number 2. So number 1 was choosing how you're going to maintain your bank account. So number 2 is decide who's going to be the main bookkeeper of the family. In some traditions, you have, the man is in charge of the money, or the wife, she's better at this whole financial thing. Honestly, it depends on what works best for your family. Again, however, considering the talents of each of you, one of you may be more adept at doing the finances, working with the money. You're used to doing, spreadsheets. You're used to keeping track of things financially. You balance your account to the penny. If that's your talent, then perhaps you should be the one, male or female, to take on that primary responsibility. That's not to say that the other person won't have any input or any responsibility at all. We're just saying that somebody needs to be the primary person that's going to pay the bills, that's going to, make sure the account is balanced, that's going to head up the discussions, pull everybody together. Hey, we need to have a budget meeting or what have you. The one person, because if you have too many hands in the pot and too many, especially if you're keeping separate accounts or what have you, it's going to become a little difficult to keep track of everything. And we are supposed to be good stewards and good keepers of what has been entrusted to us, and we want to do that in an organized manner. Proverbs 24:3-4 says, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding makes for the best management or running of the household. Okay, when you have wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, then you know how and what things you need to do to keep things running smoothly, financially speaking, in your household. And one of those ways is to get educated. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you don't know how to balance a checkbook, or if you don't know how to keep track of finances or what have you, either of you, then you need to reach out to someone who can help you in that area. Myself, such money management wisdom. We do workshops, we do couples financial counseling, but someone that who knows who knows from a Christian perspective how to manage personal finance. Don't be afraid to reach out if you need help. Okay, that's that's what these people do. Their job or their passion or their mission is to help people understand finances so that they can be successful financially speaking in their marriage. Okay, so choosing which bank accounts, decide who's going to be the primary bookkeeper. And number 3, have some shared goals. Now, this is important. Sit down together in the beginning, and you could have even done this once you were engaged. And we talked about this in the previous video about sitting down and deciding what your goals are going to be for that marriage in the area of finances. What things do you want to do? Do you want to save for down payment for a home? Or, how are you going to invest your money? How are you going to save your money? What kind of debt are we dealing with? What is our plan to pay off our debt? Or, are we going to be a debt driven family? You need to make these decisions, come up with your goals as to what you want to do. What's going to be our giving parameters? What are we going to give to? How are we going to support, our church or our community or what have you? These are decisions you need to sit down and make together as a couple, and they become your shared goals. Now, why is it important to have shared goals? It's important because the two of you are going to be working together. If you got it in your mind that, okay, we've decided we're going to do this thing, then your behavior, your spending habits, and all of that are going to play into your goals. Someone should not go outside the agreement for your goals and doing their own thing, which makes it easy to do if you have separate bank accounts, because you're none the wiser of what the other person is doing. And they may have funds that can contribute to the shared goals to get the goals paid off faster. But if everybody's, in their whole selfish mode, doing their own thing, then you can't reach your shared goals. I share a story about that in my book, the first book, Money Management Wisdom for Millennials. And it talks about a couple who had decided that they wanted to buy a home, and they moved in. The family was getting larger. They had 2 kids. They moved in with one of the parents of the wife so that they can save money. She was agreeing to this. The mother was a widow, so she welcomed the company, the grandkids, and what have you. So the couple had decided, hey, this is the amount that we need for a down payment. And they both agreed to work toward that down payment, how much they were going to contribute each month. They had a deadline. A year from now, we should have this much, yada, yada, yada. But what happened is each of them fell back into their previous behaviors. Their shared goal, they weren't working. Each was doing their own thing. And, we said we're going to do this. Well, I'm a little short this week because I did this. Or they're not committed to what they said they were going to contribute to this fund for their down payment. Well, 6 months into the game, they don't have nearly where they should be at that 6-month period, according to what they planned and talked about together. So needless to say, when that year came, they didn't have the money. They're still living with her mom. And come on, a year is a long time. Even if you love your grandkids, a year is a long time, to have everyone in your household there. So when you have shared goals, you have to be committed to reaching those goals together and be committed. And that's easier when you have everything together and each of you know what the expectations are. Okay. And then lastly, the fourth decision that you need to make when you say after you say I do, is you have to decide to have a plan, create a financial plan, i.e. a budget. People don't like to use that word, but there is no possible way you can be extremely successful with your money and your planning if you don't have a budget. Now, this is where your shared goals come in. This is where your accountability comes in. And this is where your transparency is all going to roll up. If you have a budget, you sit down and you decide this is what we have income wise. Okay. But if you're not on the same page, how do you know what you have income wise? Okay. This is what we have. These are our bills that we have. All the bills, all the expenses, what you brought into, what she brought into the marriage, what he brought into marriage, your debt, your regular recurring bills, such as your utilities, house payment, rent, mortgage, or what have you, your car notes and all of that. These are expenses. Okay. So you're going to allocate your income, all of your income, to all of your expenses. And you're saying, well, what about our independence? What about if I want to do something or whatever? So that's where you're going to put that into your budget. You're going to create line items in your budget, not only for rent, utilities, transportation, but his discretion money, her discretion money. And the two of you will decide how much that will be per month. If you're pooling your money together, well, homegirl might need $200, whatever the guy is into, golfing or, whatever it is he does, fishing or whatever. What do you need? Your everyday pocket change. So figure out what that looks like for each of you. It doesn't necessarily have to be even, but what do you need for your weekly or your monthly expenses. Do you go out to lunch a couple times a week? You need money for that. And then come up with a figure for both of you. That's how you keep track of what's going on. So even though you may have an amount and you may have your own amounts dedicated to you in that budget, you can still have some independency when you go out and buy gifts. He still doesn't know, what you purchase. She still doesn't know what you purchase if you just want that element of surprise or what have you. So there's a way to do everything that you want to do under the umbrella of unity, accountability, and transparency. So those are the 4 decisions you need to make. After you say I do, how are you going to maintain your bank accounts? Who's going to serve as the main bookkeeper? Setting some shared goals. What goals are we going to set for our family? And then creating a plan or a budget to reach those goals. Okay, so next time we're going to talk about some of those hot topic buttons that happens within the marriage, such as financial infidelity, income disparity, and a couple of other hot button topics. Who's the final decision maker? How do you deal with step children and some of those types of issues that come up with that, loaning money and such. So if you like this video, please like it, hit the like button, and also subscribe so that you don't miss future videos that are put out on the topic of personal finance. We're going kind of starting this little money marriage series in preparation. Myself, I'm going to be heading up a money and marriage seminar under the guise of the financial wellness ministry of my church. If you're in the local area, November the 16th, from 9 to 12, we were doing that seminar at the First Baptist Church of Progress Village. So it's open to the community. You're welcome to attend that. And you can go to the FB, First Baptist Church of Progress Village, FBCPOBOPV.org, and there's a flyer on there, and you can register at the site as well. That's www.fbcopv.org/money, and it'll take you right to the registration. So subscribe to my Money Management Wisdom page. Also, a lot of the information that I'm talking about can be found in my books. This is Money Management Wisdom, 8 Steps to Living Your Best Life, and Money Management Wisdom for Millennials. They can be purchased on Amazon.com for $14.99 each, I believe. I think I may have lowered the price. I'm not sure, but go and check it out. Get both. You will be blessed by both books. And then visit my website, moneymanagementwisdom.net. Just check me out, find out the events that I'll be participating in, sign up for a workshop or coaching session or what have you. So that's all for the Green Table today. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on the next video.